Hello again. Americans have cast their ballots in closely fought midterm elections between Republicans and Democrats overnight. This is all to do with control of the country's Congress. Voters believe collective ballots could usher in an era of change and stability. Many want change on the economic front. They say they are drowning under rising debt levels, many unable to pay for fuel and food. Let's get an update now on the situation in the U.S. with the Voice of America senior diplomatic correspondent Cindy Saine, who's live for us in Washington, D.C. Cindy, good to see you. Let's start with where we stand now as far as the numbers.
Yes, that's right. Well, Americans are starting to wake up, at least here on the East Coast, and not know which party, the Republicans or the Democrats, have control in either the House or the Senate, which means it was a much better night than expected for Democrats, which, of course, is the party of President Joe Biden, because normally, as your viewers may know, in the U.S., when we have these so-called midterm congressional elections, usually the party in power in the White House gets punished, what we call a wave for the other party. And that did not happen last night for Republicans. We're looking at some crucial races, one in the southern state of Georgia, where you have two African-American candidates going up against each other, the Reverend Warnock and Herschel Walker. And it's so close, both of them are right around 49% of the vote. And Georgia has a special rule that if neither one gets to 50%, there will be a runoff on December 6th. We don't know that yet for sure, but it's looking close. One of these so-called battleground states is Nevada, where we don't know yet. So it's looking like Republicans will probably take the House with a very slight majority the way it's looking now, but it's not done yet. And the Senate we don't know, and we may not know for a while.
Let's talk about why that is, because some areas have been very quick to declare and pronounce on a winner, but others could take days or even weeks.
Right. If we have states where one party is highly favored over the other, let's say South Carolina, for example, then we have the winners. But if we have these so-called battleground states where it's very close, then it takes longer. And we had 40 million mail-in votes or early votes. That's why these mail-in votes have to be counted. There weren't, in large-scale irregularities or anything like that. This is just part of the system that sometimes takes a while to count the votes.
And in terms of the closeness of this race, yes, it's not been a landslide by any measure for the Republicans. What does it tell us about American society today, especially when you consider that the message has been, especially since in the post-Trump era, has been an attempt to heal divisions?
Right. Well, many seasoned political observers here are noting that it was a very good night for the Republican governor, incumbent governor in Florida, DeSantis, who won re-election there handily, and Republicans did quite well in Florida, with Florida looking like it may no longer be a battleground state, but a solidly red, as we call it, or Republican state. And some are even saying that DeSantis might challenge the former Republican president, Donald Trump, and some of the candidates who Donald Trump selected, for example, Mehmet Oz in Pennsylvania, have lost. So it was not a good night for Donald Trump, who was uncharacteristically quiet. And basically, we can say, the morning after the elections, we're already looking to the 2024 election to see who might be the nominee.
But what we also have to look at, Cindy, would I be right to say that on the Don DeSantis development in Florida, where, yes, he's clearly quite popular, some are touting him as a potential challenger for Trump among the Republicans for 2024, he would also want to hedge his bet so that he doesn't declare too soon, given Trump's popularity still among Republicans.
Yes, you're very right to say that. And we've had the former President Trump saying that he's going to make an announcement in about a week's time, sort of teasing out that he may throw his hat into the ring. So this is going to be very interesting to watch, by us observers, because, like I say, it was not a good night for Trump and his candidates. Some candidates basically still don't accept the results of the 2020 election, called election deniers, and some of them did get elected, but many of them did not.
And is the White House speaking? President Biden, is he saying anything?
Yes, it was a much better than expected night for President Biden, who was photographed on the phone congratulating some of the victors. And he'll be giving a press conference Wednesday, which means, he held off this. There were all these talk about this big Republican wave, which did not happen. And it's early days, but we're thinking that young voters turned out in much larger numbers and that the abortion issue played a role helping Democrats.
Right. Voice of America, senior diplomatic correspondent Cindy Saine, a pleasure to speak to you from Washington, D.C.